Good morning to you all. Happy Tuesday and welcome to part 3 of Tuesday's tips. Pelvic health, pelvic floor love, pelvic pain, pelvic dysfunction, whatever you want to call it. It's all about that area. So we've talked in my other 2 clips or 2 videos about kind of what the pelvic floor is, where it is, kind of what it does, what it's there for. Last week we talked about the breathing, which is absolutely fundamental and key to working your pelvic floor optimally. And this week, before we can go into, next week will be the final week in some exercises, we need to learn how to relax the pelvic floor. For most of us, the pelvic floor is always on, it's always switched on. And so actually then trying to contract it some more, there's nothing else to give. And if you don't know how it feels to relax the pelvic floor, then it's very difficult to contract. So it's just like any other muscle, like I described last week. It's multi-directional, it's worked in pairs. So this pubic bone at the front and your coccyx at the back, that's where the kind of the hammock swing stems from, but it also is from the 2 crests of your pelvis, to the iliac crest and here at the front. So you've got to think of that hammock of muscles. But in terms of understanding kind of how we relax, then you've got to be familiar with those seat bones too. So I'm going to do a little bit of exercise today, just so that you can perhaps practice this at home. So I've got a cushion. You might want a cushion. You may want a block too. You might not. See how you feel. There's nothing strenuous in this, but the breathing does come into it. Okay, so first of all, when you are sat, you kind of can feel that bony part. When we're kind of slumped, we roll off those seat bones. When we kind of sit up, you want to do this on a chair, do it on a chair, you can find those bony parts. Now those seat bones is what we're trying to kind of open up and the pelvic floor to relax within it. Okay, so just kind of be aware of those seat bones and make sure that you feel relaxed wherever it is that you are. Okay, so we're first of all going to go into what I call a butterfly stretch. So we're going to lie down, get down as comfortably as you can. Good morning if you're watching, relaxing the pelvic floor. Okay, so we're going to lie on our back, relax the shoulders away from the ears, make sure your arms are relaxed too. Okay, we're just going to gently allow the knees to open and the soles of the feet come together. Now if you're not happy in this position, it may be that the block or the cushion underneath, not underneath the arch of your back, but kind of at your sacrum, kind of at the top of your pelvis might be helpful. If you use yoga balls like this one I prepared earlier, then you may want to just rest on the outside. This is beautifully comfortable for me. In fact, I'm going to leave both those balls there. You can then just rock from side to side, hard where the balls are there, but if you've not got much room and you're worried about your hip or your groin, then you may not want the balls there. But I'm just going to rock from side to side. I can feel and massage the top of my pelvis this way. Okay, and then I'm just going to leave the knees relaxed, soles of the feet together. Now this is where the breathing comes in that we practiced last week. Okay, so when we breathe in, we expand the belly, we expand the rib cage, and the diaphragm pushes the pelvic floor down. As you breathe it out through the mouth, through pursed lips, the rib cage glides back in, the belly pulls back to spine, and you lift up the pelvic floor like you're stopping yourself having a wee. You breathe in and then let it go, push down, relax. Can you feel the difference? Take the breathing slow. You might want to close your eyes. As you breathe in, thinking of the diaphragm pushing everything down, not holding that area tight. You're breathing out, gliding the rib cage in, pulling the belly back to spine and putting up the pelvic floor. Then breathing in, allowing everything to be pushed down and out. And breathing out, breathing in, everything relaxes. So you're just allowing that breath to happen. We're not using the upper breath. We're allowing the pelvic floor to relax. I'm hoping you feel the difference. I'm hoping you're not feeling any discomfort there either. That's the first way that we can relax our pelvic floor. And it's a case of practicing a lot of this, just like any other exercise we practice. Okay, bringing the knees back up. I'll move those out of the way for now. Okay, we're going to bring the knees up towards us. This is where the cushion underneath or a block might be nice. So if you're someone who suffers maybe with lower back, then you could place a block underneath your pelvis. That's it. And then when you bring your legs in, it does feel rather nice. So you could do that. But we're going to turn this into frog. So we're going to bring the hands in between the legs and see if we can hold on to our ankles or our shins, or maybe you prefer to be on the outside. Excuse me. Okay, so we're in this frog position. You might feel quite vulnerable the first time you do this, so make sure you want to do this, privately or wherever. Okay, relax the shoulders. I'm going to put mine in here because that's where I'm happiest, with my elbows on the end, my elbows on the inside of my knees. Okay, so again, relax, take the breath in, and as you breathe in, everything expands, and you're pushing down through that pelvic floor. It relaxes, the diaphragm's pushing down everything, the diaphragm's pushing everything down, and then as you breathe out, you're contracting. Now this is harder for me to really focus on while I'm chatting. Make sure that these shoulders are relaxed. So if being up here in the middle makes you a bit tense, then just change it to a position that's not. You may want to just hold behind the back of the thighs. You could use a tie, a belt, a strap. But your breath in, everything expands laterally through the rib cage, 360 degrees, dome belly, rib cage lifts, diaphragm pushes down, pelvic floor is relaxed, and then you breathe out, rib cage glides in, belly button pulls back, you engage that transverse muscle, that deep corset muscle, and you pull up the pelvic floor. And again, you just stay in these moves, relaxing the pelvic floor. It's really important that we know how to relax it, so that when we come to strengthen and contract it, that we know the difference, really. But a tight pelvic floor can also be creating pain. It can also be creating some incontinence. It's not always about it being weak. Okay, well done. We're going to place the feet on the floor very gently. Roll onto your side so you can push yourself onto your hands and knees. I'm going to turn around slightly. Okay, so I'm going to be in all fours, making sure that my knees are directly under my hips. You think about those seat bones, that's that kind of bony part. They're not kind of at the back here, they're kind of underneath a little bit. So taking that breath in, as you do, you come onto your elbows, but the knees don't move, and you kind of shine those seat bones up towards the ceiling. You can rest the forehead on the floor here, and as you breathe out, you relax. So when you breathe out, you pull up the pelvic floor. As you breathe in, the belly hangs low, and as you breathe out, everything is contracted. Again, this position may be hard. It's what I call puppy position. Coming back up, so you can stay here as long as you like doing those exercises. Coming back up, and you can practice here that belly hanging low. So taking the breath in, everything expands, let the belly hang, and you're pushing everything down. It relaxes. As you breathe out, everything gets tighter. So you're relaxing the pelvic floor, releasing the pelvic floor on the inhale. Okay, taking those knees wider, so you've got a wide pose. If you struggle, you could put a cushion here between your calf and your bottom. And we're looking to sit back, breathe out, and sit back into that calf pose. You can mess around with the hands position, okay? And when your knees are, I don't need the cushion, so I want my bottom to come down to my heels, but not everybody enjoys that. So I'm really opening up underneath me. And when I take a breath in, belly hangs, rib cage expands, pelvic floor releases, relaxes, and then as I breathe out, everything contracts. Again, there are some positions that are harder to recruit than others. Okay, and coming slowly back on to all fours. So there are 4 exercises there to have a play with, to have a practice with, to get familiar with, to start to really think about, are you relaxing the pelvic floor? It's not something that you can do whilst you're busy. It's not something that you can do whilst you're doing something else, I don't feel. I think it does require a little bit of focus, a little bit of attention. And yeah, next week, next Tuesday, we'll start doing some exercises that enable you to utilize the pelvic floor and see how we get on. But tell me how you get on with that. Do you feel any numbness? Do you feel any pain anywhere when you do those exercises? Do you find or feel the difference between relax and contract? So I would like you to do a little bit of homework between now and next week. I would like you to try and do kind of 10 of those. So kind of 10 breaths in butterfly, if you like butterfly, 10 breaths in the frog, if you prefer the frog, and then 10 breaths maybe in the puppy, and then the child's pose. I think most of us are familiar with child pose from whether it's pure stretch, whether it's Pilates, whether it's yoga, whether it's other relaxation classes. But when we're doing it, are we really thinking about our breath and our pelvic floor, or are we just really enjoying the back stretch and the kind of, we're on autopilot a little bit, aren't we, in child's pose? So have a think about those exercises this week. Let me know how you get on, and I'll see you again this time next week for some exercises. See you soon. Bye now.